Hello guys and welcome to some Group B rally. Today we have an oddball again. It has been a while, hasn't it? The Jeep Wagoneer with its 5.9 liter AMC V8. The year is 1991. Jeep is now in control of General Motors, but the Wagoneer still ran with the AMC power plant. GM was interested in how strong the 5.9 liter V8 was, so at first they built the engine to put on the engine dyno to do tests on. Due to it being almost like a sideline project, they only used parts that were already available to them. They found an old school Roots type supercharger and modified it to fit, and installed the 6.2 liter AMC V8 crank into the 5.9 liter engine, increasing the displacement to 6.2. In the end, it wasn't that great. With a massive 6.2 liter V8 you would expect more than 300 kilowatt or 402 horsepower and more than 760 newton meters of torque. For the fun of it, they threw in the motor into the Jeep again and stripped the Jeep down to 1666 kilogram. Oh, 666. It was 366 kilograms more than the class they were competing in, and the tires were lacking as well. With the maximum side value of 710 millimeters, they only achieved just over 520. Can this primitive solid axle, leaf spring and 60s engine powered Jeep even reach the top 10? Let's go and find out. It's now the time of the not so mighty Jeep Wagoneer. Actually, I was quite impressed on the car, because on my way to the event I rolled it twice. Just by playing around. I did the one Forza-thon challenge where you could win the Porsche 944. It's one of the cars that will be next, guys, because I actually saw it. The car was made in 1989, so you can't let one car be left behind. And one of the things were to do the landscaping, and then I use a lot of the handbrake. And when you're on a little bit of an incline, you throw this thing sideways, it starts to roll. If you guys want to have fun with it, just put rally suspension on it and put an overpowering engine in it. You'll have fun for days. Oh yes, the suspension is very soft. It's good for rally or for this sort of track, especially at the jumps. It was cool and composed over the jumps. But on the other hand, in the corners you would like to have something that's a little bit more rigid. But for the power it made, it's okay. You're not going too fast, but if you do an engine swap in it, I can clearly see this thing rolling every single corner you just point it at. But the car was underpowered, or let me say, the performance is outstanding. If it was 10 years ago. Out of a 6.2 liter V8, really 300 kilowatt or 402 horsepower really isn't that much. It's 50 kilowatts per liter, and that's with a supercharger. You would expect it to break the 100 mark. As you can think of the Honda S2000, it had a 2000cc engine. It's naturally aspirated, and it almost made 100 kilowatts per liter, and that's with no charging mechanism strapped onto the engine. When you do supercharging or turbocharging, you would expect to reach the 100 mark easily. Or is it just me thinking like that? Because most of the cars I've seen in real life that has a turbo or a supercharger on it makes over 100 kilowatts per liter or 140 horsepower per liter. I don't know exactly the kilowatt to horsepower rating out of my head. I only know it's if you want to know what 1 kilowatt is, you divide it by 0.746. Yeah, And on to the next thing, SUVs. Why aren't we seeing more SUV styled racing cars? I know that there's the Dakar, but that's almost it, and maybe the Baja 1000. Or is it? No, the Baja 1000 actually doesn't have that much SUVs. I know that that one guy that drove with the Hummer H1, probably Gordon, I think his name was, with the Hummer H1. That's actually not a SUV. That's a space frame that looks like a Hummer. But you don't see the real SUV body being used in a motorsport actually. I think it would be amazing if there was almost like a racing division of SUVs, the BMW X5M versus the ML63 AMG, but on racing tracks, and maybe almost like every second race the car suspension should be made for mixed surfaces. You can only set up the suspension once a year, so, and half of the tracks are almost like rallycross, and the other half of the races are held on tarmac tracks, like, or let's say Nürburgring GP or Hockenheim Ring, that sort of stuff. And the other half will be like at Leiden Hill rallycross circuit, or Holjes at Sweden, and that sort of stuff. And then they have to figure out what suspension configuration are they going to run. Are they going to be almost like in the middle? Will the car be bad or mediocre on the tar and mediocre on the gravel, or will it be excellent on gravel and bad on tar? I think it would be a quite entertaining thing to watch, but what are the chances? What are the chances of we ever seeing SUV racing? Yes, and then SUVs in rally. Why isn't there a division for it? They can also make a capped CC regulation like in WRC. Let's say 3000 cc's. Then the BMW X5 3-liter diesel can compete. I think it will be mostly diesels that would compete then in that sort of rally racing, because with a big body you need a lot of torque and not so much kilowatt. It's also debatable. That's why most of the WRC cars these days, the horsepower figures are out in the open. They're almost exactly the same, but the torque figures, you can't get that out of them. They won't say that easily. Yeah, and yeah, can't think of something else to say now. Yeah, the SUV is actually a strange name on its own, sports utility vehicle. What is so sporty about it actually? It's actually deemed to be more off-roady than anything else, so why isn't it the OUV, off-road utility vehicle? Or does it just sound strange when you say it? But the Jeep handled pretty good. I was quite surprised that it didn't end up on its roof. And with every run I saw that the car actually had too much grip and too little power, so I was pushing it through every corner and still not reaching the edge of the grip that it had. It's a little bit slidey and that sort of stuff, but really it's easy. Almost anybody can go fast with this thing, or fast in quotation marks, because you're actually not going that fast. As you can see, we're barely going over 190 over the jumps, where some of the other rally cars were previously we were doing 220, 230 kilometers per hour. Yeah, and yeah, but the Porsche 944, I hate to break it to you guys, saying what's going to happen ahead. There's few Porsches that needs to go that needs to do the rally. I totally missed them because they were Forzathon cars, and Forzathon cars don't display on your auto show, so I totally skipped them for some apparent reason. So we'll just have a little bit of a flashback, almost do like a Porsche special, the Porsche special of maybe 4 or 5 episodes, we need to see. But hey, we're on the final stage here. Let's see what time it ran. This last one is the fastest, so let's see. And across the line. And it did it in a 2 minute 42.674. Let's see where it lies on the timetable. And to no surprise, the Jeep is almost last, in 29th place, just in front of the Opel Manta, with a 2 minute 42.674. Excuse the lack of a bigger timesheet, but my place was running a little bit low, so I will keep 5 places above and below the car that ran so far. So that is the way it shall be done from now on. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Please leave a like and subscribe. Don't forget to hit that bell icon to get notified of my new videos. And until next time guys, keep it sideways, keep it fun. DriftBuddy out.